Yo, what's up everybody? Kevin here. Welcome to the Snowboard Pro Camp live chat. So going to be on here for the next hour or so to answer all of your snowboard questions. So definitely hit me up with anything that's on your mind, gear related. I know a lot of people out there are putting together the 2020 snowboard gear list. So definitely hit me up with any gear questions. I know some people too are waiting on their resort to open, and some places are actually already open for the season. So we can talk about anything to do with snowboarding, snowboard progression, and your guys' plans for the season. So stoked to be on here for the next hour. Also, if you guys want to support the channel, a great way to do it is to use that super chat button, and that gets your question highlighted, and I'll definitely get to it. And it's also a great way to support the channel and be a sponsor of Snowboard Pro Camp. So yeah, let's get into it. We've already got 160 people on here, 23 likes. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We do these every Thursday, so let's get into it. I'm stoked to talk to you guys. Caleb Williams with the first question here, asking how was Colorado? Yeah, Colorado was amazing. We were down there for, TJ was down there for 2 weeks. I was down there for a week, and it was like a pretty fun, like early season ride session. So that was really great. And yeah, now just waiting for the slopes to open here in Whistler. I saw somebody else posted too, kind of on a sad note. So Jake Burton, the founder of Burton Snowboards, he passed away like suddenly, and so that's a pretty sad thing because, you know, Burton, they were one of the pioneers of snowboarding and snowboard gear. So yeah, thoughts and prayers with his family, and I hope that. Yeah, it's a pretty big loss for snowboarding. So yeah, Jake Burton, unfortunately, he passed away, and it's really sad. So as being part of the snowboard community, I hope hope his family is doing okay. And yeah, Burton obviously made a massive contribution to snowboarding. So a big loss there. Gavin Anderson with the first super chat. Thanks, Gavin, for the support. And we got Bad Riders watching from Australia. Very cool. We got Kong watching from Melbourne, Australia. El Stacker says to cannonball the like button. Thanks, El Stacker. Jack Wolf, any tips on board slides? Yeah, absolutely. If you're learning your first board slide, first of all, you want to make sure you're starting off on like a very easy flat box that's just an easy ride on, and make sure that you've practiced ahead of time. So just on the slope, riding with your board straight and flat with some speed, and then being able to like shifty or twist your board sideways just on the snow. Practicing that lots and lots. And then next you want to be able to just ride straight across the box. So like a 50-50. So a couple speed checks on the approach, letting your board go straight and flat across the box, nice and smooth, and then coming off. And then once you're really comfortable with that trick, it's called a 50-50. Then you can start to slowly like twist your board, sort of like once you're on and like halfway, just twist it a little bit sideways slightly. And that movement, if you can just, every time you hit the box, try to do it bigger and bigger, that's kind of how you progress towards a board slide. And a common mistake is people sliding out on their heels. So a good thing to do is like to take your front hand and kind of like reach it forward a little bit towards the box when you twist. And by reaching forward, it kind of keeps your weight more centered. So good luck with that trick. There's lots of tutorials on the channel to help you with board slides, so definitely check those out as well. All right. Yeah, big thanks to everyone for tuning in. A lot of people shouting out condolences to, yeah, Jake Burton and the family. That's awesome to see. Yeah, it's a big loss for snowboarding. Just one of the pioneers, really, like back when it started, it was yeah, Jake Burton was right there making boards. So yeah, big loss. Gavin with the super chat says, any advice? I just started snowboarding. Awesome, Gavin. Thanks for the super chat, man. Thanks for being a sponsor of the channel. Advice for just starting snowboarding? I would say first, when you go to the slope, like take your time, and if you can, check out some of the beginner snowboard videos. I kind of lay out like all the steps. But yeah, you want to start off just strapping in one foot, skating around, like walking around with the board on, doing some like 1 foot riding on like find like a really easy slope that kind of levels out to flat to kind of do some 1 foot riding. That's what will get you ready for like the chairlift or any kind of tow rope or anything like that. And then and first, you can actually just hike up like a short distance up the hill and practice sliding on your heels, practice sliding on your toes. And then once you get that heel and toe slide going on and heel and toe stops, you can start trying to link together your first turns. But also, if you can, find somebody that can give you a hand like throughout your beginner steps. So maybe when you're going for your first turn, find somebody that you can just hold on to for your first turns until you get them and you're more comfortable. But yeah, just go at your own pace. It may take you a full day to kind of get to the point where you're trying your first turn, or it might take a second day. But definitely check out the beginner snowboard playlist too, because I go really into depth into all the beginner steps. But yeah, the main thing is just to have fun with it and progress at your own rate. Don't try to rush through it. And Henry Edmondson with the super chat from Australia. Thanks, Henry. Appreciate it, man, for being a sponsor. Says, can you recommend any restaurants in Niseko? Really cool question, man. Yeah, we were in Niseko for 2 weeks. We didn't go out to eat that many times because we had a pretty big crew with us. And I don't remember any of the places, to be honest, but we did go to one really good sushi place I can remember. It was like a massive place. There must have been like 70 or 80 tables. And that's the most memorable dinner we had. And yeah, it was great. For me, I don't eat fish, but they had lots of different like veggie sushi stuff for me. So I had lots of that. But it was like a massive sushi restaurant. That was the one that stuck out the most. But there's lots of places out there in Niseko to check out. My one piece of advice is if you can, reserve a restaurant ahead of time, because they do fill up, and I think people reserve like pretty far out as well, like even weeks ahead of time people are reserving restaurants, so maybe look into that too. All right, great questions, guys. We got Max with the super chat. Thanks for the support, Max. It says, any thoughts on the Rossignol Trick Stick AF or the Rossignol Retox? Loving the vids. Awesome. Thanks, Max, for the support, man. To be honest with you, man, I haven't ridden a Rossignol snowboard in many, many years. So I'll have to get on some Rossignol boards this year and give you some feedback on that. But yeah, no, I don't have any thoughts on those boards just because I haven't had the chance to ride them. And to be honest, I don't see too many Rossignol snowboards out in Whistler. And even in the shops, I don't even know where I would buy a Rossignol board. But I'll look into it, man. But yeah, thanks for the support. And yeah, we'll try to dig up some knowledge on Rossignol snowboards. Felix with the super chat from Australia says, saw Whistler was getting some snow. Yeah, we've been getting like a mix of rain and maybe some snow on the top of the hill. You can kind of see that the runs and the peaks of the mountains are like dusted in snow, but we haven't gotten a proper snowfall yet. I think maybe in the next few days there's like 20 centimeters gonna fall at the top of the mountain. So that's promising, but I don't think there's going to be an early start. We're probably looking at the start of the season being November 27th, so looking forward to that. And Matthew Thorne with a question, do you have any tips for hitting your first rail? Yeah, definitely, man. So before you hit your first rail, make sure that you have a bunch of different tricks on some boxes, and you're also hitting some like down boxes as well. Down boxes are a great progression step to move on to rails. And then when you go to do your first rail, I would definitely try to find the easiest, just like ride on rail that you possibly can. And yeah, for the first time, you don't even have to commit to riding the rail all the way to the end. You can kind of just get on it a little bit and plan on coming off the side that you're more comfortable with. And then after you kind of do that once or twice, or until you're feeling it, then you can try to stay on the rail longer and longer. But I would recommend your first one, just like get onto it a little bit, and if you come off the other side, that's okay. It's kind of like one of those things where you try it 7 or 8 times, and then maybe by that 7th or 8th time, that's when you're riding it all the way to the end. So yeah, progress like that. I think it'll be good. And Matthew's another rail question, ATS or board sliding a down rail. Yeah, same thing. It's progression. And I actually recently put up a video on how to do your first down rail. So check that video out. I made it maybe 3 weeks ago in New Zealand. I think that'll help you out, man. All right, cool. So we got Jai watching from Silver Star. Man, people from all over the place here. We got John watching from Sydney, Australia. We got Perry from Washington, BC. Over 200 people watching. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Logan Cox says, what do you think about Vans boots? Yeah, I've actually been a big fan of Vans boots the last year. I've had 3 different pairs and loved every one. So the boots I have now, they're actually right here and over there. They are the Vans, the Vans Infuse boots. And they're kind of like, to me, they feel like a mid-flex boot that's kind of like, I feel like it's like a good do-everything style boot. And they were like very comfortable in the store. I had them on my feet for like 30 or 40 minutes and had no foot pain, no weird pressure points. They were just very comfortable. And that's what I noticed with every Van boot I've had. My last pair were the Van Sequels, and it was the same thing. They're very comfortable in the store. Again, like a mid to stiff flex boot that I really liked, and had a great time riding those. And then my Vans boots before that were the Vans High Standard Pros, which again were very comfortable, probably the most comfortable boot I've ever ridden. And they were a softer flex boot, so I wasn't as committed to staying with the Vans High Standard Pro because they were a little bit too soft for me. But I would recommend the High Standard Pros for more like beginner intermediate riders because they're just very comfortable, very soft. But yeah, just definitely go put your feet in some, stand around in them for a half an hour, see how they feel, and maybe even compare them to some other boots that you try on, and just go with the most comfortable pair, man. But yeah, big fan of the Vans. Bear says, just bought the Ride War Pig on TJ's review, but worried I should have bought the Twin Pig instead. I wanted a do-it-all mountain board as I do a bit of everything. Yeah, I think both of those boards are do-it-alls, like the War Pig and the Twin Pig. You can definitely take it all mountain and in the park. I would say the War Pig is probably more of it leans more towards riding the whole mountain, and you can take it in the park, where I think the Twin Pig is sort of like you can take it in the park and it also rides all mountains. So it depends on what you think you're going to be doing more. If you're riding more of the whole mountain, I think the War Pig is a great choice. If you're riding park more, then the War Pig will still be good, but the Twin Pig is maybe better. So yeah, it's up to that, whichever kind of style riding you think you're going to be doing more of. Lots of great questions, guys. Really appreciate it. Tori Martinez with the super chat. Thanks for the support and being a sponsor. Says, how can I learn to butter better? Awesome, great question. I think there's probably 2 things. One is just continuing to practice and really thinking about moving like your weight or moving your hips over top of the nose or the tail of your board, by really not just trying to flex the board by using like your muscles and your legs, but actually just putting your weight into it. That makes butters and presses so much easier. And then the other part of it is making sure that you have a snowboard that is flexible and that is gonna make butters easy. So definitely for me, so a good comparison would be when I was riding the Capita DOA snowboard, it's like a flex of like a 5 or 6. So it's a little bit, I have to put more effort into my butter tricks compared to say a board like the Headspace, where I feel like it's like a 4, and it's just way easier to butter. So maybe look into what flex your board is, check it out online, and then you can kind of decide do I want to continue to ride this board with a good soft flex, or if the flex is too stiff, you look at a board that's even softer. But yeah, just keep thinking about moving your weight, moving those hips. And yeah, also I think another thing with butters is finding like good places to do them. So I find that the best place to do any butter trick is actually where the slope comes down. But then when there's like a rise in the slope, that like little bit of a rise in the slope can really help you to put more pressure on your board and get into the press. So yeah, find those good spots on the slope as well where there's a slight rise. That'll make your butter tricks way easier too. Great question. Carson Evans wants to know about Black Friday deals. Nice, man. Yeah, I think like the next week and a half, a lot of websites and stuff do have Black Friday sales going on. Like I know I've been on there eyeing up some different things and doing some online shopping. I feel like this is just the time of the year to do it with Black Friday coming up. So yeah, some websites already have their sales going, and I know some websites will probably be dropping those sales soon. So nothing comes to my mind at the moment, but yeah, if you're shopping for some gear or anything, it's a good time to do it because there's some stuff's going to be going on sale. All right, great questions, guys. Sheldon with the $5 super chat from Canada. Thanks, Sheldon, for being a sponsor, man. Says, just picked up a 2020 Jones flagship. Recommendations for bindings. Awesome, man. Great choice. I'm stoked on that board for you. So my all mountain board, the bindings I picked up are the Now Drive bindings. So they're pretty cool. Maybe I can just like grab them for you here really quick. So I picked up Now bindings because for a few reasons. For the toe cap, I put this toe cap on in the store, and the feeling is like the thing that came into my mind, because I have a background in baseball, is it feels like a catcher's mitt, like coming down over the toe of your boot. So it's really comfortable toe cap, really comfortable heel strap as well. And then the Now Drives, they're kind of like, I think they're rated like about a 7 out of 10 on the flex scale. So it's going to be like very responsive for riding all mountain. So this is, I think, a pretty cool binding. It's also got it's called Skate Tech. It's kind of hard to explain, but it basically really puts your movement into your board, into the board, like as you rock from heel to toe. So this is a pretty cool binding. You can also check out the Union Atlas. They're another, like, I rode those mostly on my all mountain boards last year. They're probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10 as well. But yeah, check out like a stiffer flex binding, and I think you'll be good. All right. Josh wants to know, will you ever be going down to Utah? Yeah, we'd love to visit more places in the States, so we'll keep an eye on Utah. I know that TJ and I, we're going to be keeping an eye on the weather this winter, and wherever the snow is going, we're going to try to be there, so it should be interesting. So if Utah gets some good snowstorms, we'll definitely come check it out. We got Joe P with the super chat. Appreciate it, man. If you have a question or comment, let me know. Max wants to know good mittens for under the cuff style. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, so pretty much all the mittens I've ever picked up have always been the style where they go underneath like the cuff of your jacket. I feel like that's just the most comfortable and best way to wear them. So most snowboard mittens will have that. You can tell the mittens that don't, because the wrist part will be like extra big, and they might even have like a zip tie at the end of it. That's when you know that the mitten's actually going to go over top of your sleeve. But yeah, the mittens I picked up this year are Crab Grab. I think they're called the Crab Grab Punch mitt, and they're super comfortable. Last year I also had Analog mitts. So yeah, lots of mitts out there. But you kind of got a shot for like how cold it is where you are, and also how like does your body kind of react to the cold as well. So for me, I'm kind of like in the middle. I just need like a mid-weight mitten that's not too warm, not too cold, sort of like right in the middle there. All right, lots of great questions, guys. Jonathan Nichols with the super chat from Canada says, has a company approached you for sponsorship? there's kind of been some interest in some companies reaching out, but I always, in my experience working with any companies, there's always like, I don't know, it's not quite worth it in my opinion. It's always better. For me, I would rather just be completely free to talk about gear the way that I want, to buy the products I want. If like a company sends me, for example, like a jacket and they want me to wear that jacket, but I'm not stoked on the style or stoked on the function, then, you know, it's not really worth it for me. So there have been companies that have approached and sent emails, but I'd rather just be doing my own thing, not have any, ties, but it's better to not have anybody else like depending on you. I'd rather just be sharing with you guys my honest thoughts and not be influenced by getting free stuff or getting paid to say stuff. It's just not, it's not authentic that way. All right, tons of questions here, guys. Thanks so much. Colin has a great question. Park boards, any recommendations? Nice, Colin, man. So yeah, my top 5 park boards of the season video is coming out soon. These are park snowboards that I've ridden over the last year, and I wanted to share with you guys the ones that I like the most. And so, Colin, I don't want to spoil it too much yet, but yeah, later today, I'm gonna have my top 5 park board video coming out. So yeah, if you can wait a few hours, man, I'll have 5 boards that I'll recommend. But if you don't mind waiting for that, Colin, it'll be out soon, man. All right, yeah, great questions, guys. And nobody's been asking about step-ons. No Burton step-on questions, which is pretty cool. I'm sure I'll get some now. Noah with the super chat says, hi, have you any tips for getting better at carving? Yeah, great question, Noah. I think like carving is one of those things where you get better at it for sure by doing it more. But also there's a lot of subtle technique involved in carving that can really help you to improve. I would say just for me, the things that helped me with carving, first thing would be thinking about making my carves even. So if you can make your carves very even by like say counting in your head to 3 or some way of getting a rhythm happening, I feel like that's one way to really improve your carving, making sure the turn size is even. Another thing that helped me with carving is really trying to keep my body stacked over my board. So making sure my ankles, knees, and hips are all pretty bent with my back fairly straight. So you want your body weight to be more over top of your snowboard and less like out over the snow. So the more that you can kind of work on that body position, I think the better you'll get at carving. And then the third thing, and something that's kind of like hard to see and more subtle, is that as you get into a carve, to prevent the carve from really like washing out, you do need to get a little bit more onto your back foot. So the pressure builds on your board, but it also builds a little bit more towards the tail, which can be why sometimes when somebody's coming around in a carve, you see the tail of their snowboard kind of slide out. And as the carve comes around, you kind of end up moving your body weight a little bit from the front to the back once you get into a carve, and then in between you kind of go to the front a little bit or centered even, and then as you get into the next carving turn, you go back a little bit again. So those little adjustments, I think will all help you. So yeah, keep in mind those 3 things. So like making your carves evenly sized, your weight stacked over your board, and getting your weight back a little bit during the carve. Also finding like good places to carve help too. Like don't try to carve on like really advanced steep slopes. You're just gonna have too much speed. A lot of like the best carving snowboarders I've seen, they take it to very mellow slopes like gentle blues or like the more steeper greens even. And those are like the best places to carve for sure. All right, great questions, guys. Gonna try to get to as many as possible here in the hour or so that we've got. All right, everyone's talking to each other as well. Henry Edmondson with the super chat from Australia. Thanks for being a sponsor. Henry says, is David Jones coming to Niseko with you? He is, yeah. So for the Japan trip, David Jones is coming. If you guys haven't seen his channel yet, he's another snowboard YouTuber who in the last year has been out with a knee injury, but he's apparently coming back snowboarding. So that's amazing to hear. And he's also been putting up tons of really cool what's it called, fingerboard videos, so like mini skateboard videos in his off season, which have been like blowing up. So that's really awesome to see. So David Jones, he is coming with us. All right, what else is going on here? We got, yeah, tons of people on here. Somebody's asking, will you be coming to Italy? I'm waiting for you in the Alps. Nice. Yeah, like we would love to get down to Italy for sure. So going to try to get to Europe on a trip for sure. I think if we do go to Europe, we're going to hit up Italy because we've been to Austria, France, and Switzerland. So it would be great to check out Italy as well. All right, a million pop off with the super chat from all the way from Europe. What's up, man? Says, we've got resorts opening early here in France. Can't wait to get on snow. Awesome. Hashtag the Stoke is real. Hashtag DWCP. Shouting out to his crew there. Awesome, a million pop off. Yeah, it's all starting. Everything is in the motions for the snowboard season. So really stoked on it. All right, Wyatt wants to know, I've been building up my jumps, but don't have the confidence to do it. Tips? Yeah, Wyatt, for sure. So I think the biggest thing for confidence with jumps is actually getting used to riding with speed. So if you're, maybe take your riding outside the park for a while, get used to riding with some speed. And the way to build up confidence with speed too is getting used to like being in control of your board. So doing those quick short turns, comfortable on your heels and toes, and just like slowly build up your speed and do it in a safe way too. Don't do it where you're like scaring yourself or scaring other people on the slopes. And if you can too, find some like small side hits on the sides of the jumps. And again, make sure they're safe, but just getting a little bit of air on side hits. And I feel like if you can do a side hit, land, and be in control, and do that quite a lot, then that's going to help you build up to those jumps in the park. All right. Thanks, guys. We got Lu Tang watching from Denver, Colorado. Shout out to everyone from Colorado. Met tons of people that watch the channel in Colorado, so that was really fun. Tim Brown with the super chat as well. Thanks, Tim, for being a sponsor. Says, no questions, guys. Just some taco money. Awesome. Just arrived in Stowe for opening day tomorrow and can't wait to use your tips. Awesome, Tim, man. Yeah, have a good time in the opening weekend there at Stowe. I'm jealous that we're not there too to ride with you, man. That's going to be a good time. Yeah, thanks so much, Tim, for being a sponsor. Have a great weekend. All right. And we got Chris Martin with the super chat as well from Canada. It says, I want to get into snowboarding. What's a few of your recommended boards? Any gnarly tips or tricks? Evershred in Ontario. Sick stuff, brother. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I actually grew up snowboarding in Ontario at a few places near a city called Oshawa. So I went to a place back in the day. It was called Kirby. I think now it's called Brimacombe, and also like Blue Mountain for like school trips. And then the place I taught at was called Skyloft. But there's some other places there too, Lake Ridge and Dagmar, that I rode at once in a while. But yeah, for recommended boards, I think for your first board, definitely check out something that is, for your first board, definitely a lower price board. Check out a board that's got some rocker towards the nose and tail. And yeah, recently I put up a top 5 beginner board list. So yeah, maybe check that out. Any gnarly tips or tricks? Well, I don't know. How gnarly do you need them to be? There's lots out there. There's lots on the channel, but yeah, I don't know how gnarly they are. But yeah, definitely just yeah, get into it. Check it. Get your first setup and go with it, man. Thanks for the support. All right. And do you plan to come to Whitefish or Montana from Board Bike Outdoors? Yeah, I would love to get out there. Definitely Montana seems like a really cool place to snowboard. We drove through Montana last year, didn't get the chance to stop, but we'll hopefully stop in on Montana this year. We got North Carolina in here from Board Madness. Thanks for tuning in. All right, great questions, guys. We got Gabriel Kaut watching from Ireland. Mr. Fresh watching from Slovakia. Awesome, guys. Care with the super chat says, hi, I'm currently looking for a bag to store all my snowboarding gear, minus board and bindings. Something easy to grab and go. Any recommendations? Care, yeah, good question. Looking for a bag to store all my snowboarding gear, minus board and bindings. That's kind of like a tricky one. To be honest, I don't have a bag like that myself. Like I have a backpack. I got the Dakine Heli Pro where I keep all of my like snowboard accessories and some of my like all my camera stuff. And then when I go on trips, I have my board bag, my Dakine board bag, which I put my board and bindings in and boots, but I don't have that like in between bag. So I really can't recommend anything because I don't have an in between bag myself. But you know, for all that stuff, you could probably just put it into a suitcase. So it's like pick up, it doesn't even have to be a snowboard brand. There's some cool snowboard brand suitcases out there, but you can definitely throw all that stuff into a suitcase and take it with you to the resort or wherever you need to go. But yeah, that'd be my best advice there. All right, tons of great questions on here, guys. It's gonna go back. Noah says that I missed his super chat. Let me just go back and check Noah. Oh yeah, there's tons in here. Thank you guys all for the support. All right, so Noah with the super chat. Any tips for getting better at carving? Oh no, I did get to your question, man. Just go back maybe after this is done and rewatch it. But my tips were, get your carving turns even. Try to make sure you get your weight stacked over your board. You're not leaning out, but like really over top of your board. And then also finding a slope that's pretty mellow that you can get good at carving at. And finally is that when you're in the carving turn, get your weight a little bit back towards your back foot because typically your board will slide out from the tail. So yeah, check out definitely got to your question, Noah, but that's a little quick recap for you. All right, so Zach from with the super chat from Canada says, got any ideas for some good do-it-all boards? Great question, Zach. So recently I did put up a video with a couple of do-it-all boards with TJ. TJ over at Board Archive recently put up his top 5 do-it-all snowboards as well, so maybe check out that video. But the two boards that me and TJ talked about, so my board was the GNU, it was called last year the Space Case. This year it's called the GNU Finest, but it's a board that I rode in the park. I rode it all mountain and I rode it in powder, and it was like a really fun board to ride in all those different conditions. So I'd recommend something like the GNU Finest. And then TJ's do-it-all board was the Ride Twin Pig. So check out the Ride Twin Pig as well. Mar Fishing with the super chat. Thanks for the support. Says Mario from North Carolina. Do you know what the battalion symbol means? Japan Fund. Awesome. Thank you. I don't. Yeah. What is it's like a hand, right? It's like a hand with like 3 fingers or something like this. I don't know what that symbol means. I hope it's nothing weird, but yeah. If anybody knows what the battalion symbol means, let us know here in the live chat. Glenn says, hey, Kevin, your channel has helped me starting snowboarding. Amazing, Glenn. Says, quick question. Would you recommend the Burton Step-Ons for my first snowboard? Nice, Glenn. Man, it's tough. I would say, I don't know how old you are, Glenn. I think that if you think that it's going to be an issue, like bending down or like sitting in the snow to do your bindings up, then if you think it's going to be an issue, then I would recommend step-ons. But if it's not going to be an issue, if you think that you can like, because basically what happens is you start off by sitting in the snow, doing your bindings up, standing up and going down the slopes. And then as you kind of get better at putting your bindings on, you can kind of kick yourself a little shelf in the snow, reach over and strap your bindings on. It's pretty easy to do like that. So the traditional binding setup, you will get used to it fairly quickly. But if you think it may be an issue to do up your bindings, or if you think that you just want to go up there and ride the groomed runs and get lots of like quick laps in where you're getting on the chair, doing a quick lap, getting back on the chair, and it's going to be a lot of quick laps throughout the day. I think that's a time too when step-ons would be a good choice. So yeah, they could be for you if that's where you're headed. Old Man Shredder with the super chat. What's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate one of the OG crew on here. Says, have you tried a snow skate? I just bought one, but haven't got to try it yet. Yeah, great question, man. I've tried snow skates. They are difficult, but they can be really fun. I feel like snow skates are like the perfect thing if you're on like a small slope, or just like even someplace where you can hike and just like, yeah, hop on the snow skate, come down, like get some different tricks going, or just some different turns on the snow skate. But yeah, for me, I wouldn't take it to like a really big hill because it'd be a pretty daunting task to get down like a giant slope on a snow skate. But I think it's, yeah, they're definitely pretty fun. And I think they're great for like smaller slopes for sure. You could even take the snow skate like off of some small jumps or like over some easy like boxes and stuff. That'd be pretty fun. But then there's also the risk too of like, do you want to potentially hurt? You don't want to like risk it too much if, you know, you want to save yourself for snowboarding too. But yeah, good question. Have fun on that snow skate. Care with another super chat says, I'm looking at a 10K bib. Thoughts? Yeah, 10K bib. So basically, if you guys don't know, snowboard waterproofing, it usually goes like 5K, 10K, 15, 20. And then past that, there's some different materials, but like a common one is Gore-Tex, which has two different kind of quality levels too. There's 2L and then 3L. So 10K is not the most waterproofing. It probably won't stand up to like wet conditions. You'll probably get some of that water seeping through. But I think that it depends on where you live. So if you live somewhere where it's like typically very cold and you get like that, like the real cold frozen snow, then 10K should be fine. But if you live somewhere where it's like typically wet conditions, like here in Whistler, it's like very wet. So I would recommend something maybe higher, maybe 15 or 20. But yeah, it's up to it depends on where you live. That's the biggest call on that one. And all right, super chat from Refried Dog says, what bindings do you recommend for Capita Etterspace living? Will it affect my ride if I use a 157 board, even though the recommended is 158? I think if it recommends 158 and you do 157, I think you should be okay. It might like affect it slightly, but I think you're good. And bindings for Capita Etterspace living, I think it kind of depends on what you're going to do with the board. If you're planning on doing a lot of park riding, maybe check out like a softer park oriented binding. So two to check out. One would be the Union Contact Pros, and another one to check out would be these bindings right here over my shoulder, the GNU Transfer bindings. And both of those are kind of like a softer flex binding, which I think is good for park, good for butters, and good for sort of like beginner intermediate type riders. So yeah, check out something like that if you're into more, if you want to do more like tricks and butters and park stuff with your Etterspace living. Vivian C with a super chat says, hi Kevin, all the way from New Mexico. Awesome, thanks for watching. That's like, yeah, that's very far away from BC here, Whistler, Canada here. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Says, just wanted to thank you for your videos. I've been teaching myself to snowboard since last season. Amazing, Vivian. Yeah, keep it up. That's great. I guess are you snowboarding in New Mexico too? Like I've heard there's some snowboarding there. I don't know exactly where, but that's great to hear. Yeah, appreciate the super chat and keep it up. That's great. Joe P with another super chat. Thanks so much, man. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. James Christopher Callie with the support. Thanks for being a sponsor. Says, hey, a newcomer to the park. What tricks should I start on? Oh, really good question, man. So for your first park tricks, I would say start with just doing some straight jumps. The first trick you can do on a jump is a good one is just like a indie grab. So that's your backhand reaching to the toe edge of your snowboard between your feet. That's like a good, easy first grab to get. Then after that, you can maybe try some front side 180s. I think the front side 180 is fairly easy, or like a good starting point for spins. Or you could even try a cab 180, so that's coming in switch. But before you try the 180s in the park, make sure you try some outside the park first, maybe on some like side hits or even like side banks. And then on like an easy flat box, you could try some just going on 50-50, maybe a tail press or nose press, and then build yourself up to a board slide. So there's a few tricks. There's like 5 or 6 tricks in there. Definitely, yeah, start getting into those ones. Ooh, and one on a jump you can try too that'll actually help you with the board slide is the front side shifty. So jumping on a small jump and shifting your board sideways and then bringing it back to straight. That's like a great sort of progression step too for learning to board slide. And Care with another super chat. Thanks for being a sponsor. Care says, my friend is less than 5 feet tall. She tried the kids size, but the waist runs small and smaller than the women's. Short is too long. Any advice? Can snowboard pants be tailored? First, yeah, snowboard pants can definitely be tailored. I know there's a guy, I don't know his name in town, but he like specializes in tailoring snowboard pants and jackets and everything to do with snowboarding. So there's definitely people that do it. And yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one with so the kids boards versus the women's board. I would say if the kids board is too small, then go with the smallest women's board you can find. And get a softer flex women's board too. And also, like, if you think the board's going to be too long, if you go with like a rocker snowboard, then those ones actually they ride like even if it's a longer board, it'll feel shorter if it's rockered. So that's one thing to think about. But yeah, it's always, I think with boards, it's always safer to get a board that's slightly too big than slightly too small. Because if it's too small, you don't want your toes or heels dragging in the snow. And you kind of want to have, I think if it's too small too, she'll like lose that stability. So I would just try to find the smallest women's board that she can and then just make it work. But yeah, thanks, Care, for the support. We got NGen on here as well. NGen says, right on, Jake Burton. Thanks for all you did for snowboarding. Yeah, definitely. One of the pioneers, unfortunately, yeah, passed away early at 65. Yeah, one of the pioneers of snowboarding. So I know for myself, like my first, a lot of my first boards out here in Whistler were all Burton boards, a lot of Burton boots as well. So yeah, thoughts are with Jake Burton and the family. And yeah, one of the like the grandfathers of snowboarding. Joe P with the super chat thing says, how long did it take you to get good? How long did it take to get to the peak in Morzine? Going February with my friends. We can skate, but have only been snowboarding once 10 plus years ago. If you've only been snowboarding once 10 plus years ago, I wouldn't recommend going to the peak because it's very steep. And the other thing you need to pay attention to there is avalanche risk. So don't venture off into the out of bounds or like out hiking up past the chairlifts unless you're comfortable with some avalanche knowledge. But yeah, it didn't take us very long to get to that peak. Maybe from the top of the chairlift, it's about a 15-minute hike. and you're there. But yeah, definitely don't go if you're not experienced. And if you haven't been snowboarding in 10 plus years, maybe just stick to the groomed runs. Just be safe out there, man. But yeah, great question. The Pico Morzine was pretty amazing. You can definitely just still like stick to the chair, stick to the groomed runs, go to the top of the chair and get like the same incredible views up there. Yeah, Morzine is such a cool place. James with the super chat, thanks for the support, man. Says hi, I'm James, love the channel, a newcomer to the park, want to know where to start so I build up some confidence. Really good question, man. I think like before you go into the park, you can start by being on some runs outside the park. So working on your speed, letting your board go straight and flat, just like you're riding over a box feature. So practicing that straight and flat feeling. Working on like quick turns. So on the approach for jumps and features, you want to be able to do like a few quick turns on the approach to like set your speed and your like angle. And so practicing those quick turns on the slopes ahead of time. Also just getting your ollies and nollies going outside the park, maybe some presses and some butters and some small side hits, being safe where like you're looking at the landing, make sure nobody's there. But all those things outside the park will definitely transfer well into the park. Even just like riding, shifting your board, and just getting creative outside the park. You can do a lot of the tricks outside the park first too, 180s, 180s front and back, even switch, and then even 360s. You can do all those outside the park first. So yeah, have fun out there learning to ride park. And yeah, it should be fun, man. Callan with the super chat, thanks for being a sponsor. Callan says, I consider myself to be decent at skateboarding. I'm getting back into snowboarding this year, and I'm wondering how much my skate skills will help me. I think they'll help you immensely. Like skateboarding, it's so difficult and like challenging for your balance and everything that once you transfer those skills to snowboarding, it's gonna be like, you're gonna find snowboarding so easy compared to skateboarding. So it'll transfer over amazingly, man. Just just keep in mind those same things. Your balance will transfer. I think the only thing that's different is like just there's some small things that are different that you have to get used to. Maybe like the turn shape and things like that. But just watch other people do it and copy some other riders, see what they're doing. And I think you're gonna pick it up quick. Andrew with the super chat says, I'm trying to work on my switch riding and seem to keep catching my toe edge and falling forward. Any advice on learning switch and how to avoid falls? Yeah, good question, Andrew. I think the reason that you're probably catching your edge is because you're trying to turn too quickly. And that's like super common. I see like most people do that even when they're trying to learn their normal turns, you try to turn really quick and then you end up catching an edge and going over. So when you're learning to ride switch, really try to take it back to the basics. And so if, for example, you're on your heels, ready to do your toe turn, don't think about trying to get onto your toes too quickly. Really let your board run straight and flat with that new front foot for just like 1 second, and then commit to that new edge on the toes. And then the same thing from toes to heels, start sliding on your toes. Gradually let yourself commit to riding straight and flat for that 1 second before committing to the new heel edge. So just slow it down a little bit. Think about the fact that your board has to go straight for just 1 second before committing to that new edge, and I think that'll fix the catching your edge problem. Sejors with the super chat from Europe. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't. But yeah, thanks for the support, for being a sponsor. It says, thanks for the stickers. I've got them in the mail this week. I can't wait to rep them in Austria this year. Regards from Holland. Oh, amazing, man. Yeah, thanks for picking up from some stickers. Yeah, really appreciate it. That's awesome to hear that they made it out there to you. If we make it out to Austria, I'll look out for your board with the stickers on it, man. Python with the super chat, thanks for the support, says, Do you wear crash pants under or outside of your base layer? Also, do you have any recommendations? Yeah, definitely. So I do wear my crash pants on the outside of my base layer. I think like that's the more comfortable way to wear them. And the crash impact shorts I wear are Burton. So Burton, they have this like tech. It's called like G-Force, or yeah, G-Force I think it is. And it's just like, so basically you're wearing like spandex shorts with some like hard plastic in the places that are protecting you, and that plastic, which is like, it's kind of soft, but then when it impacts, it like firms up, so protecting you that way. So yeah, I'd recommend the Burton ones, and then yeah, wear them over top of your base layer. All right, so CeeLo Board with the super chat says, hey Kevin, I'll be riding Keystone and Breck this weekend with some friends from Chicago. Could you give a shout out to Jimmy, Delfino, and Mark? Yeah, definitely. So yeah, big shout out to Jimmy, Delfino, and Mark from Chicago. Have a great time riding at Keystone and Breck this week, guys. That's awesome. I'm jealous you guys are out there. I wish I was there to ride with you guys. And yeah, Colorado is so cool. Just take your time, get used to the elevation change out there. It definitely takes a day or two to get used to it, but yeah, have fun out there, guys. And I would love to make it to Chicago sometime too. So if I ever go to Chicago, I'll let you guys know, and maybe you guys can show me around Chicago. Have a good one, guys. And Newboard with the massive super chat. Awesome. Thanks so much, Newboard, for the support. Really appreciate it. All right. So Newboard says, got my new SPC beanie. Awesome. Shout out to Jillian. Best support and planet ever. Love you, dudes. At all, did you make a cheap did you make a cheap DIY indoor jib setup video a week ago? Maybe check that out later. Oh, you made one. Cool. Yeah, we'll have to check out your DIY indoor jib setup, man. Yeah, I made one probably a month ago, and it was like so much fun, just with like the 2-liter pop bottle, tape some shoes onto a skate deck, and it was like really fun to get some jib tricks down on that. I'll have to actually get that out again and practice some maybe today. But yeah, Newboard, I'm super stoked that you got your SPC beanies over there in Germany, I think you are. And yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much for the support, man. You're a legend. Newboard's on here like every week. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll have to check out your DIY indoor jib setup video. Yeah, we'll check that out right after this, man. Thanks so much for the support. Maybe let us know too what tricks you're working on, Newboard, on the jib setup. Kyle Zhang with the super chat from Australia says, any helmet recos and some good runs in Niseko. Awesome, man. So the last, like, I don't know, 10 years, I've been riding Sandbox helmets, and I've pretty much mostly been wearing the Sandbox Legend helmet. And the Sandbox makes another helmet. It's called the, I think it's called the Classic 2.0, and I think the classic one is a bit more of like an oval shape, and the Legend is a little bit rounder. That's my impression. And for me, I feel like I kind of have like a round head, so oh, there it is down there in the corner. Yeah, so I wear the Legend helmet. I feel like it's very light. It's a pretty plain design. It doesn't have anything fancy on it. And it comes with some like extra padding and like ear things that I usually just take off because I don't use them. But yeah, I definitely check out the Sandbox Legend helmet. I think if you have more of an oval shaped head, maybe check out the Sandbox Classic 2.0. But, and oh yeah, runs in Niseko. To be honest, I was not paying attention to the names of the runs in Niseko, but we had such an amazing time like everywhere. I would just recommend, like, if you're at a more advanced level, maybe keep an eye on the gates. So they have these gates that are closed off with ropes, and because there's like, you know, avalanche risk or whatever. But once those gates open, and if you're feeling, if you're at an advanced level, definitely check out some of the gates. Go out there with a crew, make sure you do it safely. But the gates have some really really good snow in them. So, but other than that, there's just like good snow and good trees like everywhere in Niseko. You really, honestly, you can't go wrong. Like it seems like everywhere is good there. So yeah, have a good time, man. And Mystic Mac with the super chat says, have you ever ridden a Signal snowboard? Any thoughts on Signal Disruptor? Mystic Mac, I've never actually gotten my hands on a Signal snowboard. I haven't seen one here in Whistler. I think it's because they ship like direct to the customer. They don't have Signal boards in like a shop. So I haven't had the chance to ride one. And I'm not even sure if they send boards to Canada or not. That's something I should find out. But yeah, sir, I can't help you out more than that. But I know Signal, they make some cool looking boards. I know a lot of people talk about them. I just haven't had the chance yet, man, but we'll have to get on them one day. Manuel Castillo with the super chat. Thanks, Manuel. Let me know if you have a question, man. Thanks for being a sponsor. Dawood with the super chat as well. Thanks for being a sponsor. Says, I had boot pain problems for a long time now, and I bought DC Judge, which I really felt comfortable in, but Flex is an 8. Is it going to make park harder? I think it probably will make park harder for sure. Yeah, flex rating of an 8 is really gonna like lock your feet and ankles in there, and it's not gonna be as maneuverable as you may want them to be for park riding. So what you can do if you think the DC Judge are really comfortable, maybe check out some other DC boots in the line. Like just put some other DC boots on your feet, see how they feel. Try like go online, see what's like a softer flex, like if there's ones that are like a 4 or 5, and if you can find that, maybe it's gonna have that same feel. So I feel like you just have to put your feet in some other boots and check that out. But I think if you're looking for park riding, yeah, an 8 flex is probably, like, in my opinion, it's too much. It's going to be too stiff. That's more of like all mountain carving, powder riding is what you want an 8 for. So yeah, maybe check out some softer boots, put your feet in them, and yeah, I hope you can find a equally as soft pair. Yeah, that's comfortable pair. A pair that's just as comfortable, but more of a park boot. But yeah, good luck with that, man. I hope it works out. Boot pain is just the worst. I hate having boot pain. I've been super lucky with the Vans boots. The Vans boots, I haven't had any boot pain yet. But yeah, I've had it myself, and it's horrible. So good luck with that. Jose Bortista with the super chat. Thanks, Jose, for the support, man. You're a legend. Kevin, he says, Kevin, you stayed in the Hanazono side. Gate 5 is where it's at. 8 more Sundays till Japao Japawabunga. Nice, man. Japawabunga. Love it. So many legends going to be there. Yeah, Jose, yeah, we'll see you in Niseko. I think we're going to be there at the same time. So we'll keep in touch on Instagram, and we'll definitely have to do like a meetup on the mountain. Also do like a meetup, grab some like food or like a drink or something down in the town. I know you're coming out there with L Stacker as well, and there's a third person who I can't remember, but yeah, it'll be awesome to meet up with you guys. So yeah, I can't wait. So it's 8 more Sundays. All right, counting them down. Can't wait, man. Sam P with the super chat says, love volume shifted POW board. Own a slush slasher and looking at buying an Orca. Powder performance differences, too similar. All right, yeah, these boards are very different. I think they're gonna be very, very different. So I think the slush slasher, I think it's gonna be much softer, and it's also, yeah, it's kind of got that like camber to rocker towards the nose profile, I believe. I'm not 100%. Compared to the Orca, which I think you're gonna find is a bit stiffer, and the Orca has the C2X profile. So it's got camber under the feet with the rocker in between. So that rocker in between the feet really helps to lift the nose and tail out of the snow. But the camber zones under the feet give you a lot of like energy for getting like ollies and like landing drops. So, And also the Orca has the magnet traction, which gives you a lot of grip for if you're riding on any of the groomers or any of like the icy slopes outside of the powder. So I think two very, very different boards. I think if you're looking for more of like the casual powder rider, I'd go with the Slush Slasher. I think it's like probably less money as well. So if you're kind of like just looking to dip your toe into powder, kind of just get into those first powder turns, check out the Slush Slasher. If you're looking for more high-end powder riding, where you're really getting after it, riding at high speeds and just looking to really crush it out there, then I would go for the Orca. So yeah, the Orca is this one too, right over my shoulder. That's gonna be my powder board for the season. And it's definitely like, it's my favorite powder board. So, but yeah, the Slush Slasher is really fun too. I think it's more of like a casual powder snowboard. All right, Midnight with the super chat says, in memory of Jake Burton, hashtag ride on Jake. Remember him on your first run this season. We wouldn't be snowboarding without him. Thanks for the videos, Kevin. Yeah, absolutely, man. Jake Burton, I read it this morning, was like really shocked because I heard he had some kind of cancer scare and was going to have something done about it. I don't know all the details, but yeah, it was very abrupt. So yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with the Burton family, the Carpenter family, and yeah, it's really sad because he was definitely one of the pioneers of snowboarding. Yeah, if everyone out there, if you get the chance, maybe look into some of the history of Burton after this, because they were one of the pioneers, like right from the start. I know Burton and Sims had like this back and forth. It was almost like an East versus West, East Coast versus West Coast rivalry, which is kind of cool. It was like similar to the whole hip hop thing. And yeah, they were industry leaders all the way through, even until current day. So yeah, it's a huge loss for snowboarding, and we should all just take some time to remember Jake Burton. All right, so Sejors with another super chat from Europe says, cool Kevin, if we manage to meet up, I will teach you how to pronounce my Dutch name. Awesome. All right, thanks. Will do. Thanks for being a sponsor, and yeah, you'll have to like break it down for me, just very basics. But yeah, Shed, thanks for staying up late over in Europe to watch the live chat here. Michael Williams with the super chat says, heading to Whistler in a few weeks. What do I need to know in order to avoid tree wells? Anything to look for when riding trees? Yeah, tree wells are a huge danger, especially here in Whistler. I would say what to look for. It's hard to see them. That's the trick, is they're kind of like, what happens is all the snow gets stuck in the tree. So then around the base of the tree, you get this big well where there's like snow missing basically. And there are like a few people that do die every year in tree wells, which is really a tragedy. So definitely what you can do to avoid it is ride with a group, and almost have a partner, have like people that you like tell somebody like, I'll look out for you, you look out for me, and we don't lose each other. So when you're riding through trees, you're riding with your partner, and you don't like keep your eyes, well, you can keep your eyes off them, but you always want to have them around. And so that way, if somebody goes down, the other person stops, waits for them to get up. And if you were to get into a tree well, you've got a partner there to like come over and help you. The other thing is to like talk to some locals, talk to some people, and just know that it's safe to actually ride in the trees. It's like a great way to do it. And then also, like when you're out there riding, know where the tree runs are leading to. So if you don't know where the trees lead to, then probably don't go there, unless there's like a lot of like people in the public. If it's like close to the run or whatever, then you can kind of like get the feel for it. And if you're unsure, just like go, if you want to ride in the trees, go in some trees that look safe to you, and don't go too far into the trees. Just go a few trees deep, and then when you come out, just know that you're going to be safe. But yeah, always ride with like a crew. Have somebody looking out for you, and be looking out for somebody else, and that's the best way to avoid the trees. All right, so Joe P with the super chat as well. Can't wait to ride, go fast, and yeah, I see where you're going with that. Joe P, yeah, man, thanks for the support. Guys, I'm just gonna plug in my phone here because we're over the hour mark, but this is going so well talking to you guys that I'm gonna keep it rolling. Just gonna plug in my phone. 1 second, guys. How about now? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. All right, guys, so the sound is working. We'll just go until my phone runs out. Let's just keep going. All right, we're back. We're back. All right, super chats rolling in. Appreciate it, guys. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. There's a lot of comments coming through. Thank you, guys. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. So basically, guys, I'm just the app is kind of like refreshing here. So okay, it's all good. So we had Jose Bautista. Thanks for letting me know, man. No sound. Shred 1904 as well. Thanks for letting me know. No sound. Midnight with the super chat says, is Vans boots footprint smaller than 32s? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I feel like I don't know. That's a very specific question. I'll like maybe compare some boots in the shop and let you know. But that's a good one. It's good to have when you are buying boots. There's kind of like this. Yeah, there's this leaning towards having the smallest boot footprint on your board as possible, but at the same time, you don't want to like sacrifice your comfort. So make sure that when you are buying boots, even if like they advertise the boot as having like such a small footprint and all this stuff, if the comfort's there, that's number one for sure. All right. Oh, NGen says the Vans footprint is a little smaller. Oh, thanks, NGen. Man, you guys are legends. If there's any like uncertainty in the question, somebody out there knows it. Most of the time it's NGen, but yeah, thanks for helping out. All right. Caught it up says, I was given an older board with a triangular pattern for screwing in the bindings. Do I need to get a completely new pair of bindings, or can I just buy the heel plate alone? Yeah, you should be able to just get that disc, the disc, and you need to get one that's compatible with that triangular. I think it's Burton that did that a lot. It was the three-hole disc. So yeah, you just need to get one of those 3-hole discs. You could probably, to be honest, I don't know where you would get one because it's been a while since those boards have been out. But you could probably find one either online, calling around to some shops, and yeah, get one that way. All right. Oh, some people are saying that the audio doesn't match the video. Okay, that's not good. All right, so Gabe wants to know, do you like the Vans BOA boots or the 32 laced boots? I've had some bad experiences with 32 boots in the last few years, so I would go for Vans BOA definitely over the 32s, just because for me, I've had some bad experiences with foot pain in the 32s. I don't know why. In the past, like I rode many 32 boots that didn't give me any foot pain, and then in the last few years 32s were killing my feet. So I would go for, but for you, just go with the boot that's more comfortable. All right. Brandon wants to know, where's a good cheap place to stay in Whistler? You can definitely, I think the cheapest would be to stay in one of the hostels. So there's probably, I'm guessing 3 or 4 hostels around Whistler. I know that when TJ used to come visit Whistler, he would stay at a hostel near, I think it was in a neighborhood called Nordic. So you can check out that hostel, but there's a few around, and that's probably the cheapest way to do it. Maybe $35, $40 a night. So maybe check that out. Cam Jones says, what do you think about the BOA systems? Yeah, BOA makes it very convenient for tightening up your boots. You got those two. Typically now there's 2 BOAs, one for the upper and one for the lower, and yeah, they do a really good job of tightening up the boot without having to actually tighten the laces yourself. For me, I still prefer just the traditional laces, but on my Vans Infuse, they've got actually laces, but they also have a BOA that like tightens the tongue, so it really brings the tongue of the boot in, and then you can do the laces on top of that. But yeah, I prefer traditional laces, but most boots now have BOA, and I think they make it just very convenient to do up the boots. All right, just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats from you guys. I think I've got them all, unless they didn't come through, but yeah, I think I got them. All right. Grace L says, do you consider your stance as wide, neutral, or narrow? I think my stance is a neutral stance. It's like in between. I used to ride it more wide, but so you kind of like get, there's benefits to both. Like if your stance is wide, I think you're going to feel more stable on your snowboard because it really forces you to bend your knees. But if your stance is like more narrow, then it's a bit easier to move your weight around over top of your board, and you can really use your knees more. So there's like compromises and benefits to both, but I think I try to go for like a neutral to narrow stance because I can kind of like move my knees easier, move my weight around, and I think I feel more maneuverable with like a more neutral / narrow stance. All right. All right, lots of people are calling me a yeet, whatever that means. All right, lots of great questions on here, guys. All right, so Gustavo Ortega Jr. with a super chat says, I'm a beginner, been riding for 3 years, about 7 days. I've got 18-inch DWD Quan board and Malavita, 2018, sorry, not 18-inch. Nice, good setup. Good setup for a beginner. Also got the Aura Pro. Oh, very nice. To be honest, I don't know too much about Dinosaurs Will Die boards. The Malavitas, they're like a great sort of mid-flexing, very comfortable binding. So I really like those Malavita bindings. And the Aura Pro boots, I think, they're a really nice boot too. So I think you got a great setup there, Gustavo. Yeah, way to go. Engine says, only 14 days until Shred weekend with SLB, Shred and some weird French guy in Val Thorens. Nice, nice, man. Hope you have fun in that trip in 2 weeks. That's awesome. All right. And Sean Huckaba says, thank you for the videos and the countless hours spent helping us each and every day. I'm having trouble deciding between the Super DOA and the Huck Knife Pro, Union Strata or Union Force. All right, let me help you out with this one. So between the Strata and the Force, I would recommend the Strata because the ankle strap is much more comfortable and much more like will allow you to have better movement in your bindings. For me, the Union Force, it's like the strap is too big and it kind of restricts you too much, in my opinion. Super DOA versus the Huck Knife Pro, I think they're both kind of like the same flex. They're a little bit stiffer, like a 5.5. So to me, the Super DOA was like a 5.5 stiffness. The Huck Knife Pro, I think, is around that as well. But oh man, between those two boards, that's a tough one. I would get the Super DOA just because it looks like such a crazy board, and yeah, it's like it's got so much hype around it too. If you've ever ridden the original DOA, the Capita DOA, and you like that feeling, check that out. But I think both boards are sort of like those little bit stiffer park all mountain boards that are great for like riding fast, going on big jumps. A lot of emphasis on stability with those boards. But with the Super DOA as well, the way they've done the nose and tail, I think they've made it more of like a little bit easier to press through the nose and tail because of the way they've changed it a little bit compared to the original DOA. So yeah, good options there. I would go with the Super DOA and the Union Stratas. But that'd be a fun setup. All right, and a $1 super chat from No Name, and the message was retracted, but thanks anyway. All right, so Chill13 wants to know, what's your favorite resort in Colorado? Awesome. So I think my favorite resort is probably Keystone. The park there is really fun. But if it was a powder day, I think Breckenridge is my favorite resort. I think Breckenridge just has like more alpine areas, which I think are pretty cool. And they've got some really fun tree zones as well. Impaired Pilot says, what are your thoughts on the new Mike Rav Capita board? So yeah, I believe that is the same. The Mike Rav board is the Capita finest. And yeah, I think it's, so last year that was my like favorite sort of do everything kind of board. Last year it was called the Space Case. And yeah, they changed it to the finest, and Mike Rav has some artwork on it. And yeah, I think it's kind of like a really fun sort of do everything board, but definitely more park leaning. I would say like it's a great sort of beginner intermediate park board because it's a bit softer. It's very catch free. But I also had fun riding it in powder because of the rocker towards the nose and tail. All right. Lots of great questions here, guys. All right, we got New Board with the super chat, and he donated a sticker of a unicorn. Appreciate it, man. Stewie Jackman wants to know if I'll be riding on the East Coast this year. No plans at the moment to go to the East Coast, but definitely that's where my roots are, riding in Ontario near Toronto. So I know TJ is from North Carolina. I think he's going to be riding a day on the East Coast. So yeah, if you're in North Carolina, I think you'll be riding at App Ski Mountain for at least a day. All right. Miguel with the super chat says, Kevin, do you know if anything is different between the Burton Step-Ons 2019 and the Burton Step-Ons 2020? Did anything change? I was the no-name, LOL, $1. Awesome. Okay, cool, man. I don't believe anything has changed. I'm pretty sure they're the exact same boot binding combination. If anyone knows that something that did change, but I think between 2019 and 2020, they're exactly the same. Yeah. Jake Loro says, how could I get some fan artwork to you? Oh, very cool, Jake. Maybe send me an email at snowboardprocamp@gmail.com, and then I can maybe share with you, figure out some way to do that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I really appreciate it. That's awesome if you've made some fan artwork. That's amazing. All right. All right, guys. So let me see here. And Jose Bautista with another super chat saying DWCP moderators, LOL. Yeah, definitely. Thanks guys for moderating the channel here. All right, guys. So my low battery just popped up, so I'm gonna call the the live chat here. Big thanks to everyone who tuned in. I hope this was helpful, answering some of your questions. And yeah, really stoked to be on here for every Thursday for the live chat. If you guys haven't yet, definitely subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell beside the subscribe button, because then when I go live, you'll get a notification, or when I upload a video, you'll get a notification of that as well. And yeah, stay tuned, guys, because shortly I'm going to have a new video up on my top 5 park snowboards from the last year. And yeah, just a huge thank you to everyone that tuned in today. And yeah, this is a really exciting time of the season. Like, all the resorts are starting to open up. I know a lot of people are putting together their snowboard gear for the season, so it's a really exciting time. So I hope you guys are having a good early season start. And yeah, and one last thing too, it's like on a sad note with snowboarding too, the passing of Jake Burton. He was one of the pioneers, so our thoughts and prayers are with his family. And yeah, that's just one of the pioneers of snowboarding. So that's a huge loss. So thoughts are with his family. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for tuning in. And one more super chat from Bruce Hadley. Thanks for the support, man. Yeah, thanks for everyone that either did a super chat or just liked the video, or for just tuning in. Really appreciate all the whole snowboard community on here. We have such an amazing community here at Snowboard Pro Camp. So really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a great weekend. And yeah, have fun out there snowboarding, guys. Later.